All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good really early morning if you're trying to tune it in before the game. Um, Whenever it is you tune in, I hope all is going well with you. I am Noah. As with me, eventually will be Trey. He's just got to work on his getting his charger, so that'll be that. Um, Trying to stay as thematic as I possibly can here. As you can tell, I'm rocking with the Pitts jersey, and I literally went and made myself some tea in a Jaguars cup. Just don't have any biscuits yet, so we're working on that. Anyways, let's get to know who else is here. Nathan, shout out to you. You can catch on this on the replay, so you know what that means. We gotta act as if everyone's watching us at all times because you never know who's gonna look back at a big ant. Welcome, welcome. Got your own tea and crumpets as well. I know Big Ant's got food. So, all right, Blackberry. Good to have you with us. I mean, if you want to hop on the show, I don't know how to. I think you have the link, right? You have access to our show if you ever want to join, right? Let me know if you want to. If not, you can just tune in and just be in the chat. So what we go about tonight, you're laughing because it's true, though. All right, that's what it is. All right, who else we got here? Go tell Maggie to chop it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can do that too. We got time to multitask. But Maggie might be quicker, so I don't want to ruin the flow of anyone else that wants to tune in. But all right.
Whew, that was fast.
It sure was.
Very fast. Hey, having a 10-year-month-old dog. Very playful. But now that problem's dealt with.
Definitely been there before. And I'm still kind of there with a couple-month-old cats that I am allergic to.
Ah, that's even better. Wow.
Right. All right. So whenever you are ready, we can get this conversation started.
Ready now.
All right. Perfect.
Let's do it.
So, London game, matchups that we like. Let's get started here because here's the thing. Before we get into that, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about for last week, right? We have all sorts of questions that a lot of people have tried to ask, and we haven't had our opportunity to give our speak on it too. And I'm sure that that's the reason why some of you are here. I can say my piece on it, and then Trey can give his turn on it as well. So the first question that I want to ask is, what the heck is going on with our passing offense? And a couple of things that we need to consider is making sure that Zainabag is watching us on his TV. So shout out to you. Probably just scared him right now. And then the other thing is making sure that we allow protection. Now, I know that Caleb McGarry and I guess Jake Matthews on Twitter as well, they got a lot of flack for like not protecting Desmond Ridder in the pocket. I don't even think it was them this game because what I saw when I looked back on the game was Aiden Hutchinson moving around on the defensive line. And the way he got pressure was actually up the middle against Matthew Bergeron, which to be expected because they want to have their best matchups against our weak links, right? And so anytime you have a top defender like that going up against a rookie, they're going to want to exploit that. And that's exactly what happens. Bergeron took his lumps, all right? We're just going to have to let him deal with that. There's nothing else that we can do. So, because he needs the experience, and that's something that not a lot of positions get nowadays, I guess. Because, man, the leash that they have on quarterbacks nowadays, it's ridiculous.
You got 3 games minimum. Well, in this case, let's think about it. They're already saying Jordan Love needs to be traded. He's only started 5 games. Of course, Desmond's going into his 8th tomorrow. So you have between 5 to 7 games before you're counted as a bust?
Not even that, like 3 losses, too.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're not coming out the gate throwing 3 touchdown passes per game like Mahomes was, you're automatically a bust.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to liken it to era, Like we're in an age where we're seeing several quarterbacks just into the league, and then once they get their start, once they get their opportunity, however long that takes for them, right? We're seeing it with Jalen Hurts. We're seeing it with Brock Purdy. We're seeing it with Tua. Whenever they got their chance, recently all they've done is win games, right? Jalen Hurts, I want to say he's like 20-1 or 21-1.
20.
He's like Undertaker during WrestleMania. Like it's ridiculous. So you got that going on. You got Tua, who I think still hasn't lost in like a year and a half since he like completed games as a starter for them. And then you have Brock Purdy, who's still remained undefeated in the regular season.
I think the last game Tua lost was the Green Bay game, but that game was, as we all know, he played the second half concussed. So, yeah, after that, he was pretty much out.
So, yeah, any game in which he started and finished. We gotta acknowledge that
he wasn't concussed. Because he won the Bills game when he was concussed. So, he finished that one. But any game that he wasn't concussed and he started and finished, they usually put up about 30 points in the game.
So, yeah, we have to acknowledge the differences between those types of teams and our team, right? I think a lot of people, they want to see those stats apply to our quarterbacks. And we don't run that type of offense.
And when we did,
we can't acknowledge, we can acknowledge the differences between our team, how our scheme, where we want to go, what we want to do, our identity, right? And everyone that has been brought in to fit that identity, they are there for that identity, which is a zag to everyone else's zig. If we acknowledge that, real quick, I am going to invite that. Blackbear, if you are watching on AFN, go to my channel, and I'm going to drop the link there. So that is there for you when you reach my channel. Brings in a decent filter that way. All right.
There we go.
So yeah, there's differences in our team. Okay, we want to run the ball, and then afterwards we want to run the ball.
And then maybe after
we're not going to have maybe after that we're going to have a play action pass, which
I think
only leads to us running the ball again.
Yeah, pretty much. I think some people now we all know basically since Art has been here. But no, basically since his second year, I don't think we've ever thrown the ball more than 30 times a game. Yesterday's game was the first time since Matt Ryan's 20. I say his last game against the Saints in 2021. That was the last time we threw for more than 30 passes, or at least a minimum of 30 passes. They've been saying, okay, let's get London and Pitts and Matt Collins and Bijan the ball in the passing game, and just typically ignore the running game like we used to do. And we kind of seen how that worked. There was no balance. Aiden Hutchinson and that D line respected the run game they went from 100 to 0. There was no respect for the running game basically after we went down 13-3. What you think is still a game? Like, you think you still run the ball with 14 minutes left, 10 minutes left in the third quarter. They were just spinning their ears back. They're playing too high safety. They're letting Brian Branch just roam everywhere and play zone and play man. It's like they were not respecting the run whatsoever. So we tried airing the ball out, passing nearly 40 times. Out of those 38 times, we only had 21 completions. We threw for one more yard than 200, had no touchdowns, and we nearly threw 2 picks. And we also
That's
did not
even
score
counting the different sacks too. There was technically there was 40 plus passing opportunities.
Oh yeah, so 45. Well, yeah, 45. Because if they don't count the attempts, if you get sacked, they just count it as a down. So we threw the ball 45 times. We got sacked.
And
7
if we saw Desmond Ridder like scramble out of the pocket and gain a couple of yards, that was technically a passing opportunity, but it goes down as a rushing attempt.
Yeah, so 47 times. I think he ran the ball twice that game. So, yeah. Like we said, we tried to air the ball out, like you guys said. We wanted to air the ball out and let it fly like Matt Ryan used to. But, guys, we don't have Julio Jones on the team anymore. We have guys that can be like him or get near that, but we don't have a Julio on the team. I don't know what's happened to Kyle Pitts. He's like Eric Sober right now. He's just there to be there right. Like we don't, but we do have the weapons to have a great passing game. Like, I think what some people don't understand is the only receiver that is on this team that played or got snaps with Desmond Ridder last year is Drake London. Kyle Pitts never got snaps.
And Kadero Hodge.
And Kadero, my fault. Scotty doesn't even have a catch, I think. Did he get a catch last week or even a target last week?
I saw him on the field. I can't remember if that was in the joint game or against Green Bay.
I think he was on the field a lot during Green Bay because they tried doing a lot of deep shots that game. And then I seen him like 4 or 5 times last week when we tried to get a deep shot. We got sacked 2 of those times. So he doesn't even have a target yet, has no chemistry with him. Kyle Pitts clearly no chemistry with him. I mean, the slants and the digs and the flat routes, okay, but the post and the corners and the 15-yard slants is just not clicking right now. Of course, he's never played with Max, so he wouldn't have any chemistry. I think people just need to give this offense a little bit of time to gel. Now, like we said, we weren't expecting the defense to gel this fast. I mean, of course, we've seen there's been some screw-ups the last couple of weeks with big plays and broken coverages, but that comes with every defense. But the way the defense is gelled together in just a matter of having 7 new starters, 6 of them in the front 7, 5 of them in the front 7, it's just like we weren't expecting that. So they were expecting, okay, if the defense can gel that fast, why can't the offense? That defense is the defense is just full of veterans. I think the youngest player on the defense is Troy Anderson. So that he was just a second-year player last year. The second youngest is AJ Terrell, and he's going into his 5th year next year.
How old is D. Alford?
D. Alford is 25, but remember last year was his first year like playing in the NFL because he was in the CFL or XFL for a while. So it's like
and then
veterans.
What about Okudah? He's probably around the same age. I don't know if he's like slightly younger.
Yeah, Okudah came out with AJ, so they're both in their 4th year right now. because 2020, 2021, 22, 23. Yeah, so they're
And
both in their
then
fourth year
Richie
right now.
Grant.
Grant is in his third. Jesse Bates is in his sixth. And
And that's crazy.
Calais
He's only
Campbell,
26. Like
yeah.
that is
He
so
came into me at
fascinating
20.
for us.
Yeah. Because I remember he was in the 2019.
I want to say 18
No,
actually.
yeah, 18. Yeah, 18 draft class because he came out with Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward and all those guys. So yeah, his 6th
So
year. It's like you can say they're veterans, but then again, a lot of these guys are still young because they could still be in the league for like another 5 to 10 years if they wanted to. Especially the back end, like I said, shut down, elite, all of that. But yeah, I think some people just need to give this thing to jail because when you have a quarterback in his 7th start, you have a wide receiver in your wide receiver for one is in his 2nd season. Matt Collins, this is like his first real season of a starting gig. Like he's always been a wide receiver 3 or 4. Kyle Pitts is coming off an MCL injury. Bijan is a rookie. John, who barely got any action last year with the Patriots, and of course Tyler Algier is still in his 2nd year. So we have
is it
our offense is like,
I remember, by the way, Blackberry's here. What's up, home
going
team?
on,
Home
man?
team.
What's good? What's good, y'all?
All right,
What's
good to
going
hear
on?
from you. But about that MCL,
Just
that's
thought
the
I'd come through and
same
show you some
injury
love, man.
that Nick Chubb had.
Yeah. His looked a lot worse.
That
Like his
is
leg literally
right.
inverted. Like it bent. He was going left. His leg is bending and snapping, looking like going to the right. It is like I thought his career was over. I'm not gonna lie to you, because they said it was gruesome enough that they had to they just went to commercial break until he got off the field. So I'm thinking like, oh, this man like tore his knee like Alex Smith did, but said it was only his MCL. But hey, but you can deadlift and bench press. I mean, not bench press, squat 850 pounds. I think that type of injuries with godly calves and legs can slow that up. If that was any other regular person, he might have to get his leg amputated. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly, that's probably why. That's probably why. Sadly, oh, you, you have to know you have to know how to lift when you're a professional athlete. At this stage in his career, you should not be lifting for power. You should not be testing your limits on what you can do. You should have did all that when you was under 25. It's too late to be trying to do all that. So I mean, I'm not saying that's the cause of it, but I'm saying it sure hell didn't help. You got to live for endurance. You got to live for stamina. You got to live for flexibility. You can't be lifting like a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders don't stretch. Bodybuilders don't work on
Yeah.
ligaments and tendons. They just work solely on the muscle off the bone. So when you're lifting like that, you're leaving the door open for some really bad injuries. So that's I hate he had to learn a hard lesson the way he learned it, but hey, he gonna be all right. You're a young man. He'll bounce back from it.
Yeah. Once again, shout out to Nick Chubb. Thoughts and prayers as well go out to you, your family, everyone else that helps you recover. And then just to know that like Kyle Pitts had to come back from a similar injury, obviously not as severe, but it's the same problem, right? So to go from there, he seemed pretty active so far as like the training camps, the offseason programs, the practices, and then these first couple of games. There's something about him that still seems off. And one can be likened it to technique, right? Like there's a couple plays where in his passing concepts, there was assignments that he had to do along with running his route, right? And I don't think he understands the difference yet between the two, right? So if you put Kyle Pitts in the slot and you have him run a slant in order to benefit from having your running back on the same side run a flat route, if you're in a situation where you're obviously showing cover 2 on the defense, those linebackers ain't really moving anywhere, and you're running right in front of them, right? That is your whole goal. is to distract them, get them to bubble either outward or inward so that they don't have a direct line of sight so we can just beeline it to the running back. We saw that on a couple of plays where it's like Kyle Pitts had one job, just kind of slightly pick the linebacker, make him do anything else other than run straight, and he doesn't do it. He knows he's not getting the ball. So I think it's just a matter of, right, Bijan had the same problem. Drake London definitely had the same problem too on that screen pass. It's like, guys, you have to sell your route and also play to help your teammates. It's like you're not going to get the ball every single time. I understand that Kyle Pitts in Florida and in his first year in the league with Matt Ryan, he had a lot of opportunities where he can catch this pass. And then you saw in season 2, 28 catches on the entire year in 10 games, right? Like that's really pathetic. And now that's tarnished his reputation to where everyone wants to trade him immediately. And like, dude, the athlete is still there. The talent is still there. We just need to synchronize it with everyone else that's also young, right? This team can grow together and be good for a long time, but they're not going to click right now. And no better way to explain that than to have all of those types of problems be revealed in the same game. So that way, it only equals one loss. This isn't a string of problems that just keeps culminating into different problems. This isn't a bunch of things that we couldn't fix over time. Guys, we're 3 games in, going into a 4th one with a bunch of young talent, like Trey just mentioned. These people have to get time to synchronize with each other, right? There's a lot of different throws where, like, Desmond Ridder was thinking one thing, and either Matt Collins or Drake London was thinking, Jonnu Smith, they were thinking of another thing, right? Like, those are fixable problems. That's not an accuracy issue, right? On the fade route, right? We were trying to go for the touchdown. We were down like 17. We were trying to go for the touchdown with the fade route. But how Drake London ran his route is that the corner pushed him to go inside with his leverage. But Dez wanted to throw that to the outside because he was assuming that Drake London can go and get outside leverage. They just weren't on the same page, and that's what led to that massive overthrow, right? And you saw it with another go route to Matt Collins, right? It was like 3rd down, 3rd and 16 or whatever. Like we just try to get a go route. You can't simplify it any more than this. Matt Collins is running, but the corner is like a half a yard in front of him, and I think that Matt Collins believes that he has the speed, if not the height, to make this the catchable pass. Dez thought, hey, let me back shoulder this. Because, typically in that scenario, you don't want your receiver to have to fight and then end up with possibly an offensive pass interference. So you make the back shoulder throw. Okay, but make sure that your receiver is looking for the pass. Because otherwise this doesn't look good. And then there was a couple of just straight up hospital routes. I don't even know what to say it, but Jonnu Smith, my goodness, how are you not on the injury report?
Well, Matt Collins, he got Matt Collins shredded. His entire rib cage got shredded by 21. I forgot his name.
Was it Kirby Joseph?
That's what I
someone else.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Kirby. It wasn't Kirby. Well, no, actually, yeah, it was Kirby Joseph. He took his soul. When somebody says come in there and clean somebody play, he cleaned his play. He separated man from ball. That was a good play. That's what I meant to talk about earlier. Dez, I understand you love to thread the needle because you have these big, huge targets. Like every one of your targets are at least 6'3". Okay, I understand. But you have to understand that there are other guys out here that are in the NFL that just love when a guy comes over the middle. And you led Jonnu Smith when you're supposed to just throw a beam and sit it right there. I would have left you just sit like underthrow him. I'd rather underthrow him than try to lead him because he's looking at the ball. Little does he know he has a safety coming in there, getting ready to light him up. And he lit him up. And I thought Jonnu was gonna have to be carted out the way he was on the ground for so long, or how hard he got hit, and then he got slammed during the hit. So that doesn't make it any worse. Then the next drive, or maybe it may have been the next play, Matt Collins is doing a 15-yard dig. Kirby Joseph is literally watching his eyes go from right. Okay, I'm looking at Kyle. Oh, there's Matt Collins. They're just gonna throw it, and Matt Collins got separated from football to man. Drake Holland, I think, had that happen to him. I think he hung on to it. He did get clapped though. He got popped. Kyle.
I can tell there was another route where it looks like John kind of like short armed it just to kind of protect himself.
Yeah, he did because he didn't want it to happen again. And, NFL players are big and huge, but you also have to realize that if you take that one big hit, you don't feel like taking it again because either that hit's going to be worse and you might break some, end up like Drew Brees that one time, or you just going to get the air knocked out of you to where you don't even want to get back in the game. So there's a thing called protecting yourself, and that's what he did right there. I couldn't even really blame him for real because it was
made
a
business decision.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, he made a business decision.
I understand, it's just be like, man, why didn't he extend his arms and trying to make a play? If you just
the man likes his rib cage, all right?
Yeah. If you just took the hit that man took 5 minutes ago, you wouldn't be saying that. If you felt the pain that man felt right now, you wouldn't be saying that. So
I can tell.
Well,
if
he had a mic'd up session, then he just would have been like 2 minutes of
yeah, that was. I knew that hurt.
You're absolutely right, man. As far as when you talk about the cleanness of the execution of the selling the routes, doing everything that you're supposed to do on the play so that the play works. I talked about it before the Lions game when we were giving out keys to the game, and I said, something that I had been noticing in both the Carolina game and the Green Bay game, we have to clean up execution. We pretty much got away with being sloppy in execution with athleticism and coaching. That's those first two games, we just got away with it. But like I said, I used the Mac Hollins play in the Green Bay game for an example. That excuse me, that reverse end around deep pass from Ritter to Mac Hollins, and everybody was so in awe of it. But I was like, really, that's a poor executed play. It ended up being a catch. It ended up being a big play. But if Mac Hollins sells that better at the snap, that he's not finna go deep. If he jogs it a little bit first or blocks in the beginning to make it look like he's about to go deep, he could be running up the sideline instead of damn near at the hash marks. He could be running up the sideline butt naked free for a touchdown. So they have to understand how to execute these plays, even when they're off ball. If you use basketball, if you want to use basketball for an example, it's just like guards playing off ball in basketball. You got to be selling everything that you need to be selling in order to get the defense off of their game, to fool the defense into thinking that it's something totally different. So this has been an issue all season. And like you said, it reared its ugly head in that Lions game. And it's better it happens then in the first loss in week 3, so that maybe, they clean this stuff up by the time they get to London and, it's time to play the Jaguars, who we know that if given the opportunity, the Jaguars can make you pay for sloppy play. So hopefully they clean up some of the execution and the guys are more in tune with what their job is on every specific play.
The Texans,
because take a look at our next couple of games, all right? Because if we clean this up, just half of these problems, right? Because I understand that some of these are fundamental things, like some of these were kind of like mechanics on Ritter, where I noticed that he was taking some extra hitches in his steps when he didn't really have to. I think he just wanted to double check that his feet were set. And I think that just cost them a couple throws here and there, especially that 4th and 5 to Drake London, right? It just sailed over his head like a yard and a half too high. Like
Mm-hmm.
London's got a good vertical, right? And he has a wide range. He couldn't touch that ball. I'm like, dude, what was happening there? If you threw it low, in the same way that he threw the touchdown to London like the week before against Jair, like that would have been a catch, and that would have moved the chains, and that would have like let us, rebuild momentum after Jesse Bates' interception. So the fact that we couldn't capitalize on it and we had to get the ball right back to them, I was kind of like, it was really disappointing. And I know that like it was equally, if not even more frustrating for Ritter. Because as you saw, like he went back to the sideline, he was just like he was so upset about himself. So yeah, this is a guy that's aware of his problems. All right, every press conference, he's the first one to admit that's like, hey, it starts with me. All right, I got to work on my mechanics, I got to work on my vision, I got to work on this other stuff. I can't put anyone else under the bus before I put myself first. So I like the leadership there. Again, like Arthur Smith has kept saying, like this dude's made of the right stuff. And it shows when it comes to how he handles his problems. So I like it. I also like everyone else that's tuning in right now. It's going about whatever. Deshaun, Mitch Angeloni. I'm not familiar with you. So good to have you here.
I think I'm on a couple of mics.
Familiar with about whatever too. So good to have you joining us tonight. Yeah, we're gonna focus on that later. It's been on my mind. It's been on my feed. My other friends won't stop talking to me about it. I just want to leave that alone for a little bit. Okay. I'm not gonna bring it up. But pass defense for us on the flip side. All right. Blackberry, I want to give you this. I want to give you these two stats that I learned about last night. I just told it to Trey before we started, and the second thing that I told him, he couldn't believe it and thought that I said the stat wrong.
Okay.
So for everyone else that's paying attention, all right, because what have we been seeing a lot of posts about when it comes to defense? We can't get any sacks. We can't get to the quarterback. We can't have no pressure. There's nothing going on. The quarterbacks have all day to throw, and they're just throwing it all around. Okay, first of all, we are in the, I want to say, top 5 when it comes to total yards allowed out of 3 games.
Yes.
Okay, we might even be top 3, honestly. That is pretty good, especially when it comes to passing yards. Our pass defense gives up a completion percentage of about 60%. That's normal, especially when you consider the quarterbacks we faced that want to go for easy completions. Okay, how they get that is really short. It doesn't really cross 10 yards. They want to go for the dink and dunks. They want to 4-yard us to death. When they go in the intermediate section, right, 10 to 20 yards down the field, this is where the number gets shocking, because 60% completion percentage against us, that was in total. When we're talking about in the middle of the field, that number drops to in the 30s. So quarterbacks don't really pass the ball anywhere past 10 yards down the field because they can't complete anything.
They can't get it. It's not there for them.
Yeah, and then our pass rush win rate, all right? We don't have the same amount of opportunities to defend the pass as other people do because, game scripts and all that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, the momentum, whatever they want to consider, right? We don't have as many opportunities to go up and get those kind of pressures that every other team does. So what that means is that when we talk about pass rush win rate is the entire defensive line, when a passing play comes up, how often do you win your rep? We're in the top 10. Guys, the stuff is there. All right. Like, people can't really complete passes on us when they're not dinking and dunking. Our D line wins way more than you want to give it credit for, way more than I myself gave it credit for.
I think
and on top of that, we're doing this with Troy Anderson, Nate Landman and Caden Ellis. People that don't normally play a whole lot of man coverage. So now we take that, we put Okuda on the other side of AJ Terrell. We become more of a man coverage team. The only problem that I could see, all right, and this is my X factor for this entire game, D. Alford. The reason why he's so crucial to this game is because he plays the slot for us. And the only way in which you can try to defeat us when we're playing man coverage on like first and third downs, or mostly first down, you would have to run motion. Because what our scheme does is that it doesn't give our slot corner any help. Like, we don't rotate safeties, we don't rotate linebackers, we don't move our coverage. D. Alford has to run with the receiver. That could cause problems. Especially if we're doing like having to defend jet motion sweeps that turn into run plays the opposite way, and they're just needlessly running a wide receiver back and forth before the end of the play, just trying to exhaust the crap out of D. Alford. And then second quarter, when he's gassed, when they think he's gassed, I could just put Calvin Ridley in the slot. I think that's their game plan. So we need to have or him too, which has probably been better. We need to have a plan for that, right? I think that's the only way they can try to get score against us. That and Travis Etienne out of the backfield. Other than that, sure, we'll have to take care of Evan Ingram because he's like the only consistent part of that offense so far.
Man,
we can talk about Clark Phillips, but it's like he's been a member of the inactive list along with Cordell Patterson. I don't think that they're necessarily injured, but it's just we have to put names there. So
healthy scratch.
And then with this one, I'm glad you're bringing that up, Bello. My personal opinion, because everyone wants to put this on Richie Grant. My personal opinion is Trey Flowers.
Yeah, it was. It was a simultaneous.
He was.
It was. Yeah.
He was the one that was lining up in front of Laporta, and I think he just kind of had a miscommunication with himself, thinking that it was his own coverage. So then he wanted to try to pass it off to Richie Grant, who was already in a man coverage assignment himself. So then he took a step back and was like, hey, I'm going to let you do this because you're not running in my zone anymore. And then he just gave a double take and it's like, oh, crap, I just passed it off to nobody. And that's how he was so wide open.
And that's exactly what happened. See, he got burned at the snap and he lost his footing. He got beat off of the ball at the snap, lost his footing, and you could see him in the first reaction he had was to lift his head up and look for his help. It was the most disgusting play I've ever seen from a secondary unit. And simultaneously, the help that he's looking for, being Richie Grant, simultaneously he screwed up as well and opened up himself to the sideline. Why would you do that? It made no sense whatsoever. There's a tight end working the middle of the field. What do tight ends do? They work the middle of the field. That's what they do. You're the last man of defense. Why in the world would you open yourself up to the sideline? Why would he go to the side? Why? It made no sense whatsoever. There's nobody else working in the middle of the field, Richard Grant. So you got Trey Flowers getting beat at the snap, losing his footing. And instead of him recovering and trying to get back into play, he looks for the help. It was disgusting. Richard Grant, Trey Flowers, they both had to take equal blame for that debacle of a play, man.
That being said, those plays are very few and far between.
Yeah. Because it hasn't
any time in which you want to consider like someone torching us for like 200 yards. Like Amon-Ra was the most productive receiver that game, and he barely cracked 100 yards out of 9 catches. That's not bad. All things considered. Like, it could have went way worse. Laporta had like another 87 yards, but most of that was due to that one
On that
play.
one catch, I think it was like 45-yard catch. That was
Other than that, that could
everything
have
else.
been 3 quarterbacks in a row in which we would have allowed them, or which we would have held them to under 200 passing yards. For someone that, we're in a passing league, right? And until we show up, we're in a passing league in terms of everyone else. And all they want to do is try to throw the ball. So if we give them those kind of numbers consistently, and it's very likely with Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville too now, like, don't think that they don't have problems of their own, because there's a reason there's 1 and 2. All right? There's a reason as to why they struggled against a Texans team that had 8, I want to say like at least 7 missing players on defense and still couldn't get a whole lot going for them. Trevor Lawrence has had 1 touchdown and 1 interception in the last 2 games. That is not Pro Bowl type of numbers. Like, guys, these guys are equally sputtering. These guys also don't have that kind of like synchronicity amongst them. So
they got a left guard that's been getting his behind worked all season. Their left guard is really bad.
And I want to say that their left tackle got hurt too.
He went out.
Anton Harrison.
Yeah, he went out last week with a leg injury against Texans.
So, yeah, let's not think that this team is invincible just because we didn't look good. And for all those people that are like, oh, will the Packers look better against Detroit? Guys, we both lost by 14. Okay? Like, just because they scored touchdowns and we didn't, that didn't make them they didn't make them give them a better performance against them. They still got whooped, and it happened on their own turf.
Yeah.
In prime time.
And Detroit went into somewhat of prevent defense mid-third quarter. So
it's like, yeah, dude, we have
a lot of garbage time.
It was 27-3 at halftime. It's like, guys, they weren't all that close. At least we had moments where it was 13-3 at halftime for us.
It was
and
13
they
for the most part of the game. The last drive they had.
They couldn't really move the ball downfield. They weren't all that good on third downs because we kept getting pressure. So, yeah, like, this defense is going to keep us in this game. I don't even care how our offense performs. Like, this could very well easily be like a 13-10 type of game, which is going to be really embarrassing to everyone else that has to animate this.
Yeah, that's why your defensive go ahead.
I think regarding to that Richie play, I think we've all kind of realized that Richie is not a free safety. He's not an NFL free safety. He just gets too nervous sometimes. And I think that's what happened. Okay, he sees a wide open tight end just driving down the field. So he's okay, I got to hurry up. I got to get to this. Little did he know he's getting ready to have a corner post hit on him. One of my favorite routes, of course. I love a double move. But, yeah, that was just him panicking in that moment. He's like, oh, shoot. Trey didn't go with him. So now what am I supposed to do? So he starts overstepping. As soon as he oversteps, that's all Laporta was looking for. Oh, now I'm going to cut back across, go down the field, easy 45-yard touchdown. But speaking for these problems for the Jags, the Jags passing defense, again, this is why I say we're going to have to capitalize on our passing offense tomorrow because they have the 29th worst secondary in the league. Their corners are inconsistent. Their safety, Andre Cisco, but they basically have 2 box safeties. And one day they rotate them from box safety to free safety, each one of them. Both of them can blitz, both of them can tackle very well, so I give them that. But their passing defense is awful. They haven't had any pass rush since week 1. They had a little bit against Kansas City, but of course, their offense was only able to put up 3 field goals. The offensive line, of course, is banged up. The wide receivers. I think Zay Jones is out this game. I think. I think he's out this game with a hamstring injury, and then
Yeah,
their
he's
two
out.
starting yeah, and then their two starting left tackles and their left tackle and left guard are both well, no, their left tackle's out and their left guard's like sorry. So yeah, this team I'm
One more
surprised.
thing. Shout out to Dave and Tom from Atlanta Sports Unlimited. I was listening to them earlier, and they had mentioned how Calvin Ridley has had 15 targets, but like 5 catches.
Yeah, he only played 11 snaps last week.
Like after that week 1 performance, this man has disappeared, and I don't know what is going on with him. Maybe it's
You
personal
mean
reasons.
after that? You mean
sorry.
after that week 1 first quarter? You mean after that week 1 first quarter performance?
Oh
he's
yeah,
he's only had one good quarter all season.
I don't know, man. Maybe he is known for just kind of like disappearing in the first part of the season for no explanation at all.
He has limitations. It's true what fans say. You know, he doesn't like going across the middle. So when you have those limitations as a receiver, it's easy to take you away. So yeah, he had a good quarter. He kind of caught everybody by surprise in that first week, in that first quarter. But you're going up against professional DCs. They know you have limitations based off of your history. So they took him away, and that's what everybody else has done. So we got to say that's why your stats that you gave earlier about the secondary, about the defense, they're not surprising. From the homework I did on our defense over the past couple seasons, we know that they're not going to give you nothing deep often. You're not going to really get nothing deep on the Falcons.
Yeah, it honestly didn't even care who we threw out there. Like we had Eric Harris and Dean Marlowe and Deron Harmon and like Fabian Moreau. Like I feel like I'm saying curse words right now. And yeah, like they didn't allow a passing yard of over 40 yards. Like the only time that really like showed out was that PJ Walker Hail Mary, which even then was just an anomaly.
And the Bengals game that we do not talk about whatsoever.
Yeah, like other than that, I mean, that was like fresh Cornell Armstrong coming off the couch. Like, of course, he's not going to be able to cover like Jamar Chase.
Boyd in his first ever game, and then you're trying to press him, like man, like that was the one game I was like, Dean Pease, I'm not liking it. You're not giving this man no. You're trying to play single high safety press man and with both of your starting corners out. I could see if AJ Terrell or Casey Hayward was getting beat like that, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that was just on the corners. You put 2 practice squad players on 2 Pro Bowlers. That's not a good recipe to win. And especially, I mean, we didn't allow any. Well, no, we allowed 1 touchdown in the second half, but still, it's not a good recipe to win.
That was just close out the game.
Yeah, but that was one game I was very upset. But see, the thing I think that I like about this defense is that when they mess up or something happens, they're not putting their head down on the sidelines. They're not fussing at each other. They're going to go around the circle. Ryan Nielsen's going to go around. He's going to put them in a little circle. He's going to tell them what they need to do better. He's going to get in them. And after that, they're going to go back out there and they're going to do what they need to do. And you see, after that touchdown, there was no easy passes. They had to work for everything. I think they had 1 run because Troy Anderson had missed a tackle. So it was like 1 run where they had like more than 5 yards. I think it was that 70-yard game by Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you notice, since that week 1 game, when we got ran all over, the last 2 weeks combined, I don't even think reached the amount of rushing yards the Panthers had in week 1. So this running defense is doing something. The passing defense is doing something. And if you think about it, like you said, with the intermediate passes, I don't think some people understand that intermediate means linebackers dropping into their zones. And people were concerned, can Troy Anderson, can Caden Late Lamb go? Yes, they can go in coverage. They can go in coverage. They're athletes. We knew Troy Anderson can go in coverage. He's a freak athlete, but he's going to be out basically for the rest of the year, so we can't really say that. Caden Ellis has been great in coverage so far. And I really like what he did against Laporta last week when he slammed him on the ground. I love that play. I was like, Caden, I know you're frustrated. Because he had just ran, he literally carried, I think it was AJ, Caden, Troy, Jesse, Richie, and D Alford, and still carried all 6 of those guys for like a extra 2 yards. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like.
Not to mention that that 3rd and 1 stop where he just met him at the hole like Oklahoma drill style. Like that was impressive too.
Yeah, love that play. I love.
Yeah, the linebacker play has definitely
I
improved since week 1.
I just didn't like how people were underestimating our linebackers because I'm like, even though Kaden Ellis didn't really get the start until like week 9 of last year, I don't think people understood he was good in the run game last year like that. Of course, they blitzed him on like they put him on the edge, but when he needed to be a pure Mike or Sam linebacker, he was that. And there's a reason he has that green dot on the back of his helmet. They don't just give that out to anybody on defense. Heck, you don't really see it's some teams in the league or in college that have defensive ends, safeties, and corners as their green dot. Like you have to be mentally smart and know the defense to be an athlete enough to be able to say, okay, you got to go here, you got to go there. Oh, D-line, you got to go do this. Got to call the coverage for the back end so they don't mess up. So I like Blackberry said, week 1, that linebacker room has definitely took it personally, as Michael Jordan would say, and they have like then, and I love it. I don't like it. I love it, and I can't wait to see them put ETN on his butt tomorrow. I'm gonna go. Hey, last thing, ETN's not rushing for more than 80 yards tomorrow. You heard it here first. He's not rushing for more than 80 yards. You heard it here first.
Blackberry, what you got to say?
Well, I want to go. I want to go here with this. So we have to be careful. Highlighting, players that the opposing team's gonna be missing. We know they're not. We know they're missing a lot of players. We know they're missing players on the offensive line. We know they're missing players in the defense. And they're missing a couple receivers as well. But the Lions had a similar situation
Well, the
going
Lions
into
are
week
worse. The Lions
3.
Are way worse.
Can't take any of these teams lightly.
Right. So, and I think something that Arthur Smith, his part of his game plan was he really felt like he could take advantage of those corners for the Lions because they haven't been good the first couple of weeks. They weren't good at all. They was getting exposed the first couple of weeks. And in the beginning, right. In the beginning, we were able to expose them a little bit. But you still have to do what makes your football team great. You still have to implement what your identity is. You still have to do that. Now, I've been going back and forth with myself about identity since that game. And I know we know this is a physical football team. They want to play physical and they want to play mean. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to be run first. I get that. But the foundation of your team is your ability to be able to push over anybody and everybody with your offensive line in your running game. So you have to set up everything with the run. If you're trying to set things up with the pass, just because you want to open up the defense, take a guy out of the box, whatever the case is, we've seen this team, regardless of how many men is in that box, we've been able to have our way in the running game. You still have to implement that. If the run game starts off a little slow because it's the beginning of the game and everybody's fresh, you got a fresh defense in the beginning. You got a fresh defense in the first and in the second quarter. But we know that this team is built on wearing you down on both sides of the ball.
Right.
So when you don't implement that, because you think you can expose those corners and you think you can expose those safeties in their passing game, you're not doing what is you. You have to be you. You got to be true to yourself as a football team. So I don't want to see that this week against the Jags tomorrow morning. I want us to play our game. Even though we know that they don't have a good secondary group, we know they're not good in the passing game, in the pass defense. But you know how you make sure that they're not good in pass defense? By running it down their damn throats. And when you're ready to catch them off guard with with a deep ball down the sideline or something going post corner or something like that, it's more likely to work because you're making them stay honest to that run game. You're not letting them be creative in the defense. They have to stay honest because you're doing what you do best, and that's running the football. So for me, it's just be you. Be true to yourself this week, Arthur Smith. We know you pride yourself on being some kind of offensive mastermind, but you have to be true to who you are as a football team. So be physical, be mean, but set it up with that run game. Let Tyler Algier run up between them tackles, A gaps, B gaps. I don't want to see no misdirection runs with Tyler. I want you to let Tyler get a step, get a handoff, and hit a hole and go. That's what I want.
Go send that tank down the field.
Send them straight up, send them straight north, have them say he going to the north. He going to the north. So every single time. So that's for me, that's what I think. I think we should dominate this game if we just stay true to who we are. I don't for one bit take Trevor Lawrence for granted. I think he's one of the quarterbacks that's coming to the league who's really good at figuring out how to win. So along with that, you just got to make sure that you're getting after them. Be the defense that you've been all year. You haven't been bad all year. Don't choose today to be mad, tomorrow to be bad. You had a breakdown in coverage with Laporta, with Richard Grant and Trey Flowers. But hey man, I hope everybody got a good swift kick in the behind on that, and they just ready to go out there and they ready to dominate. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And then not to mention the Calais Campbell, just like, dude, you've been in the league for like 16,000 years. How do you not see Jared Goff keeping that ball on the goal line? Anyways, but yeah, like Aiden Hutchinson afterwards, like said, it's like, guys, I don't know what kind of game that we were expecting to play against Atlanta, but they didn't play the game that we were expecting them to play. And I don't think he said that as like a good thing. I was like, all right, I was trying to prepare all week in order to stop the run. And here you are trying to have like about 50 passing attempts against us, and you didn't look good while doing it, and yet you couldn't ever get back to that because now you put yourself in a hole because you didn't play as yourself, right? About whatever. It was like, hey, that's really the reason we lost last week. We played their ball, or we played their ball. If we played ours, we would have, whooped them. And it's like that was the main takeaway. It's like, guys, we beat ourselves more than they beat us because they didn't do anything special. Mm-hmm. Like those were just offensive, like mental miscues that, like I said, they're easily fixable. So we don't have to like trade and get rid of everybody in order to try to savior that thing, right? So yeah, like let's calm down, our guys. About whatever had this question, I kept up here. He said, "What do you guys think about adding a nickel 155?" Because we have the personnel to run it effectively. Now, the only thing that I have is who is the one that's the down lineman there? And then who is the 5 linebackers that you want to put on the field as well, too? Because I can think of like other off-ball linebackers, right? Like, D'Angelo Malone, I eventually want to see a little bit more of him. You can think of, obviously Caden Ellis and Nate Landman maybe. So those are 3. Probably Lorenzo Carter, if not Bud Dupree, and then have them finalize the other 2. Because Bud Dupree's been getting a lot of snaps too. And then your 5 secondary pieces. One of them would have to be Jesse Bates. The other one would have to be AJ Terrell. The third one would have to be Jeff Okuda. The fourth one would have to be Richie Grant. The fifth one would probably be D. Alford. I just want to know who's that one down lineman, because it could be Grady, it could be Calais, it could be.
You wanted to be somebody with a motor, so it would have to be Grady.
It could be on Yamada too. Just realizing that.
Yeah, that double team gonna come real fast, so I want somebody that's gonna be able to split it fast. Onyemata can, but Grady's probably got a higher success rate splitting double teams. So
Yeah, I think that's the difference between the two, right? And that's kind of the difference between a lot of the defensive linemen and Grady. Grady has two bursts of acceleration within a play. He will have the burst to get up and get off the line, and then like either swipe or like swim move, whatever his technique is that he wants to implement, and just quickly get off of one block, and then he'll do it again, and then the second burst comes from pushing away from the lineman. And that's how he gets his numbers, right? That's how he gets his TFLs. It's from that second burst that he just suddenly gets. Not a lot of these other guys that we have on the D line do that, especially not Calais Campbell. Like, he's got the first burst in order to have the power, right? We've seen that with him a couple of times. Bud Dupree is another guy, but it's like eventually they have to chase him. Grady is quick enough to get off the block and then get off of the lineman to like have that burst to attack the quarterback. We haven't seen a lot of it. Like, we haven't seen a lot of finish plays, but man, like most of those throws from Jared Goff and Jordan Love and Bryce Young, they've all been with like having them pan to the quarterback and he's on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Let's see. Got some more people in here. Eric Mack. Good to have you here. But okay, so he's thinking Campbell is the one.
Nah, you want somebody that's gonna be able to.
Why did you mention old Goldman?
I ain't gonna lie.
Man, I get that man back in 2021.
He's the only player that I know would give me happiness, then make me sad, then give me happiness, then like, you know what? I don't really care anymore. You can go. He would have been great. He would have been a fine addition to what we had going on. I don't think Timmy Horn or Albert Huggins would have made the roster if he was on here. Probably would have been put on practice squad. That would be a good idea, though. I'm not gonna lie. If it was like a nickel situation, like 3rd and 15, 20, heck, even 30, we've seen that. Patrick Mahomes,
say that. Probably like a 3rd and 9.
We could do that too, but that would be perfect though for like a 3rd and 45, like Patrick Mahomes had last year against the Dolphins when he ran, trying to be Michael Vick and Madden with escape artists. But I got a question for both of y'all. So, as we know, Desmond Ritter has a TV. He has Twitter. He has Instagram. So he sees all these Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders, go get a quarterback thing. How do y'all think he responds tomorrow with already being underdogs to a team that I don't even think is better than us? And just after everything that happened last week, I mean, we've seen him have bad games in Cincinnati, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, a game you could say was that bad was Alabama game, but that was his last game, so there was no comeback or bouncing back from that next week because there was no next week. But yeah, how do y'all think he responds tomorrow to how or what happened?
You mind if I take that first, Noah?
Yeah, I was just about to say, go ahead.
All right, so this is how I think he responds. I think he responds with being over 80% completion percentage. I think he responds with not turning the ball over. I think he responds with being smart with his decision making. And I think he responds by being solid again. Going back to being a reliable game managing quarterback. That's right. I said game managing quarterback. The best quarterbacks were game managers because they didn't turn the ball over in clutch moments. They got the right throw off at the right time. They found the right target at the right time, and they were very sound in their decision making. So I think he bounces back by being what he has been for the better part of his tenure so far as an Atlanta Falcon. So, I'm not worried about Ritter whatsoever. He responds well, as you were hinting to. He responds well to adversity. He responds well to criticism, and he just got a heart out this world. So, like I said, it just comes down to clean execution from everybody. Not just our quarterback, but receivers got to be better in their route running. Offensive linemen got to be better with protection. Running backs have to be better with selling the handoff if it's a play action. Everything, every little minute detail comes into play to help your quarterback be his best self. Because he's, regardless what people want to acknowledge it or not, he's still somewhat of a rookie. And it's still a lot he has to learn. And being in situations like he was in week 3 is a very good learning lesson. So let's hope he learned the lesson there and can bounce back strong. And I think he will.
So, yeah, again, there's not a lot on the plate as far as the statistical expectations of the quarterbacks here, right? Outside of the other whatever other people out there want to make of us, right? We're not going to be like probably not even a top 20 passing offense, even if we play our cards right. But that doesn't mean that he can't get us the win, because we've just seen it like more often than not. We come away with a victory, and I don't have a problem with that at the end of the day. So if you guys are still having problems even after you see us win, that's kind of a you problem, not a him problem, man. And here's the thing: like, if you want him to be gone, you have to understand the domino effect of what that does to not only what you might have in place in the future, but what you have in place right now. Because what this team is not trying to do, and I get the past 2 years we've had records of 7-10, okay, but what we're trying not to do is to fall into that little purgatory where it's like, hey, we're not good enough to be in the playoffs, but we're not bad enough to have a top pick. And it's like, I don't want to have to deal with that. I just want to be in I want to have a winning regular season and postseason. And I don't care if we're trying to win the offseason, because look what happened to Chicago when they thought they won the offseason. Like, I've never seen so much hope in a team that lost 13 straight in comparison to our fan base after we lose one. Like, that says a lot right there, man.
Same thing for Carolina. Thought they won the offseason.
Oh, shoot. You couldn't tell them.
It's like, dude, Bryce Young, like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to cover your ears, Trey. Bryce Young has not shown a single quality that got him drafted high. And now he's already hurt.
I love Bryce. I really do.
They put up more points with Andy Dalton.
With an injured O-line, too. With an injured O-line. Kind of tragic. Very tragic.
Man.
But, like, you got to think, like, with him being a Minnie Mouse in the back in the backfield, and I've always said that Bryce Young, when he gets to the NFL, is going to have to adjust and get the ball out fast. He's getting hit by dudes that are literally 200 pounds bigger than you and about a foot, nearly a couple inches to a half a foot taller than you. Is not going to feel good on you. And you're not the fastest guy either. You run like a solid 4.5, 4.6. So you're not going to run away from them. As a Bama fan, I kind of always knew that was going to hurt him, because the size, just like, it was like with Kyler Murray. See, the thing with Kyler Murray is he has the speed to get away from people like that. But he's also been hit enough, but is now smart enough to say, if I see a 300-pound D lineman coming at me and I have no outlets and I have nowhere to go, drop. It is okay to protect yourself. You are a QB1. Drop to the ground. Be a little girl for once. Be scary for once, okay? Drop to the ground and protect yourself, because you do not want to end up like Nick Foles, having your arm going one motion, a guy comes and hits you, and now your collarbone's done and you're out for the season. You do not want that. You don't want that. So look, come from quarterback to quarterback, my boy. Drop down. Drop. Just be smart. Drop down, take the sack, live another down, live another play. Because you do not want to miss any. Oh Jesus! Hold on, before I even see that name, I was just seeing something too. I just seen something about that during the Discord. I swear to God, if I see another person say trade for Justin Fields or put Justin Fields in the same category as a trading for him, signing him, doing anything with him, I'm gonna blow. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You know
I
what?
just seen something
You know
on Twitter
what?
that said Justin Fields was on the trade market and that we've been keeping tabs on him. But if you remember, since February, we've been keeping tabs on Lamar, we've been keeping tabs on Jimmy Garoppolo, we've been keeping tabs on Trey Lance, we've been keeping tabs on Derek Carr, we've been keeping tabs on Bryce
Malik
Young,
Willis.
Anthony Richardson. Oh, them two. Who else were we keeping tabs on? I forgot. At this point, I forgot. But hey, if I hear that man name one more time, I'm gonna blow. I'm gonna blow.
Can I say something here
Oh,
real quick?
the other name, Kaepernick.
Oh, okay. That
Can I
one was funny. That was funny.
Go ahead.
can I say something here? First point I want to make is this. One of the guys during the off season they said that we should get that was available and play him over Ritter, who they're saying to play now over Ritter was Taylor Heineke. Arthur Smith signed Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, they signed Taylor Heineke to a contract. Now, don't you think if they didn't want Ritter starting at quarterback, that they would have Taylor Heineke playing? Because they absolutely would. Now, second point for about whatever. The Justin Fields thing, everybody that wants Justin Fields is choosing to completely ignore how terrible he is at throwing the football. He has a really big arm. He can throw the ball very far. But guess what he can't throw? A precise
Accuracy.
ball. He has
Accuracy.
no accuracy whatsoever. Also, something that might be wrong
He
with
didn't
him.
have vision.
I was just going to say, he might be blind in one eye because he can't see when people are wide open right in front of him. So there's that. And then and then the third point is, because I see about whatever saying that we got a right guard, right tackle problem. We don't have a right guard, right tackle problem. Let me explain to you what defenses are doing. This is something all of them are doing
Someone
because
said we have a right guard problem.
Yeah, your boy about whatever in the chat. He said we got a right guard and a right tackle problem. That's what he said. But let me explain to you what's going on the line, on the right side. There's film on those guys. They know that they like to get after you on the offensive line, Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry. So what have teams been doing all season long so far? They're playing off balance on that side, meaning you're not going to see a whole lot of defensive tackles lined up on the inside and on the inside shoulder of Chris Lindstrom. And you're going to see defensive ends damn near playing a wide nine stance. Why? So they can have the advantage on the edge. And so they can make Chris Lindstrom have to work harder to help with protection on the right side for Caleb McGarry.
Because we know that Chris Lindstrom loves to do that. Like, he loves to go back and just turn his head and just ram into someone.
Exactly. So this is what you do. You do what you're already really good at. And you run the ball between the tackles. You run the ball up the middle. Now what the defenses have to do? They have to bring those guys in. No more of that wide nine, playing the seven, no more of that. They have to bring them in. Why? Because you're leaving too much space and opportunity up the middle, and your linebackers are in a battle all day because you wearing their asses out with blocking assignments. They got the field gaps all day. Linebackers gonna get their ass tore up. They gonna get wore out by the third quarter. So you gotta bring those guys in. Any right guard or right tackle will have the problems that Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry have had for a couple weeks so far. Any right guard or right tackle, because you're asking them to play like it's a piece of them on the field. You're asking them to play like it's two Chris Lindstroms and two Caleb McGarrys on the right side. So any right guard or right tackle in the league have had that problem so far this year, but you fix it by doing what you already good at. So Arthur Smith's a smart guy. I know if I can see it, he can see it.
I think
we have
people
Madness here.
Madness, what's up?
Are you starting the the regulators before. Like, bro, go to sleep now. I don't know how you're gonna try
Madness, take
to
your
start the
behind to
show
sleep.
before like because it's 6:30 in the morning for me, and I don't want to do that like at all. Especially not to try to catch it up on Disney Plus. So
Yeah,
I'm in
I-
Colorado.
I'm
I'm in Colorado right now, so it's extra early for
like
me.
7:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for guys like me in Atlanta, bright and early at
Yeah, lucky you.
9:30, you know, just man.
But Magnus, take
I
your
ain't gonna
behind
lie.
to sleep. Don't make me tell your business on here, boy. Don't make me tell your business, Magnus. Go to sleep.
Just shows up.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. As a 15-year-old trying to go to sleep late, it did not work.
Bro. None of these black dudes you see on the screen are champions. All right, you can leave us alone.
For real. I know you got to get up bright and early. I know all of y'all got to get up bright and early because y'all still doing the show, and I give y'all props for that because if that was me and having to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to do a live stream, I probably would have said no to you. I'm gonna be honest. I would have been like, "Hey, I'll catch y'all after the game." And I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna give you props since you got to wake up at like 6:30 to go watch do a stream. So I'm gonna give you that, and you're on stream now, so I give you that. But yeah, for real, you might want to go to sleep because knowing how football games are, you can go from being happy to the lowest point of your life in 2 minutes. So please get all the rest.
Trey, I'm a trucker, so I don't have a sleep clock, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Don't give me no pat on the back. I don't have a sleep clock.
And I've got
no telling
chronic
when I'll be
insomnia,
asleep,
so
when
I
I'll
might
be up.
accidentally be up anyways.
Right.
Man.
So yeah, Blackberry, any ideas as to how they're gonna try to animate certain things? Because I saw a clip of it just before we started. I mean, regular plays, sure, that's one thing, right? How are they going to animate penalties
or an interception? I want to really see that, like how
I want to
it, like
see a toe drag that we have to go to the booth review for, and I want to see if the toys are going to have to get zoomed in on.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
I want to have the
daughter,
4th and inches.
So.
And we're trying to like convert the first down, but we got to see if we can get it. So we're gonna bring in Slinky over here just to see if he can stretch and be our first down marker. All right.
They may have Slinky doing the measuring. He just might be the measuring stick.
Come on, man. If you have this idea, go all the way with it. Like just commit to anything that you think about. So yeah, however you decide to watch this game, I have a moral obligation to watch the cartoon version. It is not something that I want to do. It is something that I need to do because no one else is going to do it. So I, depending on the outcome, because I'm probably not going to wake up in time to see anything that's live. But they will have the broadcast, the animated broadcast on Disney Plus a few hours after the game ends. So they might do that. You might be able to get it in other means, like Zay's saying, that I don't want to like kind of say and promote, but you know, it's there. So yeah, any last kind of thoughts that you guys want to have before we try to like go to sleep and then try to wake up or whatever we want to do? Blackberry?
I'm gonna make mine.
No, man. Good show, man. Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Yeah, appreciate you being here. And then Trey?
I'm gonna make mine fast and short. Just win. Like I don't care how we win. If we win by literally scoring, just putting up a safety, just win. I mean, we need it, not in a worse way, but we need it kind of because like this is the game to show me what these guys are gonna look like when we lose. Because this is a pretty young team. Of course, like I said, the defense is kind of old, the offense is pretty young. But like if you mix everything in together, this is still a pretty young team because most of our starters are in between 23 and 27. So, like, But yeah, man, just win. Do not throw the ball 50 times again like we did last week. And when I say we threw the ball 50 times, I mean we actually threw the ball 50 times. Like the other 12 times were either sacks or runs. So yeah, just win the game, run the ball, play good defense as we usually did. Final score prediction 24-17.
What's yours, Blackberry?
Score prediction. I'm gonna say 27-20.
I'm gonna go with a 17-10 here. I just want to make sure that, like, yeah, we have to remain in a shutdown defense, right? That's the biggest thing. I don't want to allow more than 17, right? So I'm not gonna say that like we can't score, that we can't win if they score more than 17 because we've already seen that. But yeah, and then my last piece of advice: when in doubt, pinky out.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Stay tuned and see ya. Oh yeah, just showed my kneecaps. Dan Campbell, you didn't take them from me yet. So, all right, all right. Good night to you. Wake up early. Set those alarms. Set however many snooze buttons you need in order to wake up in order to catch this game. Because goodness gracious, it's been advertised like crazy. And we will see you probably next Saturday because we got to get more consistent. Oh, one last thing. If you guys are familiar with the YouTuber Bryce Lewis, also a reporter from Fox 56, me, him, Trey, most likely, October 9th, I don't think it will be a stream. I think we'll have a video that he's going to prepare on his channel. I reached out to him the other day. I don't know if you guys have seen it in the community post, but he is someone that I want to try to get into contact with. Another dude that I really like his takes, and I want to see if I can like have that conversation and enjoy it together. I think you guys can enjoy it as well. So big shout out to him. I think he's been my most recent subscriber. So if you see this, no, it's like, hey, I'm ready. He's ready. I'm gonna make sure that everyone in our crowd is ready. So just be prepared for that. He might release it a few days afterwards, but that's when we're gonna like get together and just talk. So it'll be good to see. So yeah. That's gonna do it. And good night to you. See you later.
Later, man.
Peace.